It was all a dream. 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 It was all a dream.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the It Was All a Dream podcast. I am your host, Rob Spruill, and my guest today is a true pitmaster who turned family passion into a thriving business. Together with his wife and son, they love hosting get-togethers, quickly realizing the power of bringing people together through food. Over the years, friends and family encouraged them to take their skills beyond the home. And in 2011, after careful thought and consideration, they launched Word of Mouth Grill. The first few years were spent perfecting dry rub, crafting signature barbecue sauces, and curating mouth-watering menu. After 5 successful years in catering, they took a bold step into opening their first location in South Tempe in 2019 of January. Please join me in welcoming the man behind the smoker, the heart of Word of Mouth Grill, Demetrious Makel.
How you guys doing?
How you doing today, sir?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Good. Where are you originally from?
Boston, Massachusetts.
Boston, Massachusetts. How did you end up in Arizona?
My parents, my mother.
Your mother?
When we were younger, we left Boston when I was like 9 and my brother was 10. Yeah, we left when we were real young, moved to California, lived out there for a little bit, and then we moved to Atlanta, lived out there for a while, and then moved back to California. Then ended up, one day my mom wanted us to move to Tucson. I never even heard of it. I never even heard of Arizona. I didn't even know what Arizona was, but we moved out to Tucson when I was like 14.
Okay.
And went to high school, and ever since then, we just stayed in, Arizona.
Stayed in Arizona. One thing we briefly touched on a couple weeks ago is how influencers showcase businesses, and it's usually the finished product that they're talking about. They highlight the vibe, the food, the atmosphere, but what often is missing is the backstory. And rarely do you hear about people's ups and downs, the sacrifices and the challenges that they faced when it came to making their vision come to life. So my question to you is, who was Demetrious Makel before Word of Mouth Grill? And what were you doing work-wise before jumping into the world of barbecue?
So before jumping into the world of barbecue, I was like, normal kid, grew up, went to high school, played football. After that, didn't really know too much to do. I wasn't thinking about going to college. Ended up going to a junior college.
Okay.
But other than that, I didn't have any aspirations as far as knowing what I was going to do, because I was just pretty much like me and my friends, like little hustlers, like work, jobs and stuff like that. Just, made side money doing little things. Mm-hmm. And that was it pretty much. I mean, I didn't think too far ahead until I met my wife. And then that's when a lot of things changed as far as what I wanted to do as far as the future. I didn't really think, like, especially living in Tucson, there wasn't really too many opportunities out there. So when me and my wife got together, we decided to move to Phoenix. And that's where there were better opportunities. And me, in my personal opinion, I think Phoenix is I like being in more of a bigger city as opposed to some place that's small, which is Tucson. Tucson was very small.
So you felt like something was missing more or less in regards to being in Tucson and knowing that there's more to see than what you are currently looking at.
Exactly. I mean, growing up in, Boston, Massachusetts, everything's fast. Mm-hmm. Like, I knew a lot of stuff that kids that were older than me knew at a younger age. Mm-hmm. So they always say that if you can make it in the East Coast, you can make it anywhere, pretty much, because the growth is the maturity and the growth is a lot faster.
Yeah. I agree with that. A lot of my family's from New York. I was born there. So a lot of the ways I feel are kind of embedded in you,
Yeah.
even without having to be somebody that was from there, just based on my parents' parenting skills and how they went about things. So I can definitely concur with what you're talking about.
Yeah, a lot of people think that, East Coast people are rude, but the only thing that I would say about that is that we're not rude. We're just upfront. We don't sugarcoat anything.
Right.
A lot of, like in the West Coast, I feel that a lot of people, they sugarcoat things. They'll say like you're doing a good job or everything's fine, but then when they don't want to tell you what you're doing wrong. They rather like phase you out as opposed to like, look, this is what you're doing wrong. We need to get this fixed so we can keep you here or so forth and so on. I'm a type person, like when I hire my employees, I tell them you got to have thick skin because I don't sugarcoat anything. I'm just going to tell you the truth. If you're doing good, you're doing good. If you're not, you're not. Because
Right.
it's not going to help me, misleading you, and it's not going to help the business.
Right.
Yeah.
How did you end up coming up with the name Word of Mouth Grill?
So I was always known for a person that like a show me type person.
Mhm.
Like if I say I'm going to do something, I make sure I do it. So being in the corporate world, because I was doing collections, I was doing mortgages and so forth and so on. Being in that world, you have a lot of people. We would do potlucks and everything, and I would bring like what I knew best was my barbecue, so I'd bring that to the potluck, and other people would bring their food, and next thing you know, the majority of my food is gone. And they were telling me, "Oh, you need to do something about this." But when you hear for the first time, you're thinking, they just want free food because of course it's gonna say I'm good because it's free food. It's barbecue. But after going I went to like 3 or 4 companies doing the same thing, and they kept telling me this. And there was a guy who's like a brother to me now, a good friend of mine. His name is Star Floyd.
Okay.
He kept pestering me and telling me when I was working with him, was at a company called Open Lane. He kept pressing me and he was telling me that, you need to do something with this. So it was funny too, because when I started doing that, then all the accolades and everything started just coming to fruition. And then I was like, you know what? So I came with Word of Mouth Grill because it's not me talking about how my food is tasting and everything. It's everyone else telling everybody else, and then I'm hearing it myself. So I was like, you know what? It's pretty much word of mouth. Everyone's talking about me. So I figured, that'd be a good name for the company. And, we're on our 7th year in our first location, and I haven't done any advertising. Everything's word of mouth. Yep. If anything, the only thing I do is I post stuff my wife posts stuff on Instagram and Facebook, but that's it. As far as like promotions and like getting like people coming in and, doing a whole platform for us and everything. My first thing when I would ask them is, okay, well, do you know the name of the company that you called? And they would say, yeah, Word of Mouth Grill. Okay, so how can I be Word of Mouth Grill if I have you doing advertising for me? I need my people to speak for me, my customers to speak for me. That's how it's word of mouth. And it's funny when people come in, I go, so how'd you hear about us? Word of mouth.
As cliche as that is, but definitely I get that. Who taught you how to barbecue, or were you self-taught?
So basically it was like kind of self-taup. And the reason why I say that is because there's not really too much barbecue in Boston.
I was going to get to that as well.
A lot of seafood. But I always remember my mom always telling me season the meat. Mm-hmm. That was one thing when we have cookouts and everything. They call it, grown folks parties.
Right.
When I was growing up,
too. Yep.
We had to hang out. We played in the backyard, had a little kids table and everything. Well, they had the big table, eating up and chilling and everything. Yep. So by watching those and being a part of those and helping my mom, cook and stuff like that and get stuff prepared, I just got the knack for it and I liked it. And then moving from the East Coast to the West Coast, the food, it was hard for me to kind of like some of the food because it lacked a lot of flavor. So I started cooking a lot myself. Going through high school, me and my boys, we hung out. We had like barbecues every Saturday, which is basically alcohol and and steaks and meat and stuff like that. But it was a good time. And that's when I started learning how to, cook and seasoning and stuff like that. And it just took off from there. I just thought, I always thought outside the box. I would look at other people's recipes and I would think, okay, I see how they're doing it that way, but why? What would it taste like if I did this? If I did something different? Like perfect example, a lot of people, they put like a dry rub, a nice rub on their pork shoulder or their pork butt that they're going to be cooking. Mm-hmm. I did a Caribbean jerk seasoning, which gives it a little bit more flavor. At first, when people tried it, they didn't think it was a little bit off. It didn't taste familiar to them.
Okay.
But now I can't sell enough of them. I get pounds and pounds being sold like on a daily basis. So it's just I invite people to open up their palate when it comes to trying my food.
Right, I've definitely done that. Normally it's funny because when I go to restaurants, I usually find something that I like and I just kind of lock in with what that is. But coming to your place of business, I've just been trying to dabble and taste some of everything, including all of the different flavors as far as the sauces that you provide. As I mentioned earlier from what I read, you and your family loved hosting gatherings at your home. What was the moment when you knew you wanted to turn barbecue into a business?
So the moment I knew that I needed to turn barbecue into a business is when, after working for a company for so long, and then, because when I was doing collections, I try to go 100%. I try to do the best I can in any position that I had. When I did collections, I made it up to being like a supervisor, okay? Never got to be a manager, but I was a supervisor.
Why is that?
But because of the lack of opportunity.
Okay.
Lack of opportunity, and being there I was doing that. I was doing the collection thing for about 7-8 years.
Okay.
Oh, no, about 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Then after doing it for like 10 years for the same company and only being a supervisor, and then bringing their buddies in instead of having people promote within,
right?
They promote from outside. So I knew for a fact that was one strike. I was like, okay, that I can see where this is going, so I need to go to another company. Went to another company. That's when I went to Open Lane. Went to Open Lane for a little bit, and there was a car auction place. And after being mistreated there, mm-hmm. as far as opportunity-wise, I started thinking, I need to start working for myself and start betting on myself. So when I left Open Lane, I ended up going back to collections for a little bit, and then I got another job working at Green Tree. When I was working at Green Tree, I already had it set in my mind that I wanted to try to do catering.
Okay.
Just to see how, it would go. So I had a 5-year plan. So I'm going to buy a portable smoker, mm-hmm. and I'm going to give it 5 years to see what happens. So I remember calling the guy up, and the guy who I bought the smoker from was from St. Louis. So I called him up and I asked him, I said, so do you guys do any financing with your smokers? And he kind of laughed because no, we don't do any financing. And I said, okay. I said, mark this date right here. A year from this date, I'm going to give you a call and I'm going to tell you I want that. Okay. A year to the day later, I called him up. His name's Mark. And I go, you remember me? And he started laughing again. He goes, yeah, I remember you. A year to the day. I said, yeah, it's ready for me to order. I'm ready to order the smoker now. So I ordered the first smoker. Mm-hmm. He had his crew drive it down all the way from St. Louis to Phoenix. So I dropped it off. I paid for it, dropped it off, everything was fine. I called him up, but I said, if this does what I think it's going to do, when we open up a restaurant, I'm going to ask you for the big boy, which is, he had one that was twice the size that I purchased. And so after 5 years doing the catering, on our 5th year, mm-hmm. it was time for us to start looking for a brick and mortar. And when we found it, first call was to him, and I said, I'm ready for the big boy. And then him and his wife, drove it down themselves mm-hmm. so they could meet us. So we met them, which was cool. And they dropped it off and everything, and they did a beautiful job, and they gave me a good price for it. And then we started going into business and started really
looking out for you through the process.
Yeah, doing the process. I mean, it wasn't broken, wasn't trying to fix it. The way his smoker worked for me, I liked it. It did what it needed to do, so I did it on a bigger scale.
I'm a firm believer in that, too. Somebody that treats you right through the process. I definitely want to circle back and continue to do business with them, especially they get to see you through the growth process as well. Somebody that will probably keep you in mind when different things are happening or different deals that they might be able to provide you with in the future, giving you a nod in those situations. So I love hearing stories like that. Look, I'm going to be honest. I'm a foodie, so that's one of the main reasons I keep a trainer. I watch a lot of food shows online. So with that being said, were there any specific barbecue pitmasters or chefs who inspired you by chance?
So I like Bobby Flay.
Okay.
I like his style. I like it. He's a little cocky, but I like how he thinks outside the box. I like how he mixes flavors. I like how he can just make something out of nothing.
Okay.
I would say I've grown more fond to Francis Mallman.
Mhm.
He's an Argentine chef.
Okay.
I love the way he cooks.
What is it about his cooking?
So basically, so Argentina is known for specifically their meats. They're known for having the best meats pretty much in the world. And what he does, he's really into the open flame type of cooking and cooking Argentine food and cooking steaks on an open grill. And what the secret is to him, he doesn't do it with the fire. He does it with the coal. Like, so when it breaks down and it gets all red and it starts turning into charcoal and it starts getting heat from there, that's why he cooks his meat. Then it comes out perfect. You can do it with the flame, but you got to do it a little bit fast, but you don't know if it's going to be like not as hot inside or not as crispy as you want on the outside. Okay. But when you do it when it's all broken down, it's all just like the coals and it's the red part of the fire which starts burning up. It gives it a little more deeper cook. And that's where you can get a little bit more slower, but it still serves the best purpose as far as how you cook the food and just the way his presentation is and how he plays things. And I just like his style. So.
Nice. What with the restaurant industry being super competitive just in general, have you ever competed in any barbecue competitions?
To me, I don't do competitions, and the reason why is because I feel that my customers are my trophy. Nice. I think that if they're coming back and they're telling other people to come in and then they're getting the word out and I see them come in, next, I see them with some more friends come in, and then I see their friends come in with more friends come in. To me, that's more important than having something on the shelf that said, hey, I took first, second, and third. This is why I'm the best. Me, it's like, that's another part of me not talking about myself. Mm-hmm. It's about word of mouth being talked about on its own.
Yeah.
So I didn't get into it to get rich. I didn't get it to be famous or the accolades. I just got into it because I wanted to bet on myself and work for myself. Mm-hmm. Competition-wise, I think life is a competition. And just to be able to survive, that's the trophy.
I definitely get that. Being modest as well through the process and allowing people to speak on your food does speak mm-hmm. volumes. How do you balance being a pit master and a business owner, and where does your wife fit into the picture?
So my wife, she's like the brains of the whole operation.
Okay.
She takes care of pretty much everything. Takes care of the social media, her and my son. They take care of the social media. They take care of pretty much everything, like the menus, if I need to have them changed or anything like that. My wife she cooks the sides as well. I'll cook all the meats. I make all the sauces. She controls the books. She does all the bank stuff. So we're a good team. Pretty much, it's a team effort, and we both complement each other.
Nice.
So we find ways to make it work together.
Good deal. Before Word of Mouth Grill opened, your focus was perfecting your sauces and your dry rubs. What's your personal favorite?
So I would say my personal favorite is a Carolina barbecue.
Okay. Too.
I like how you have a little tanginess with the mustard.
Yes,
it's kind of like a upscale to your honey mustard.
Ah, man, is it ever? That to me, and you know what it reminds me of? There's a place, and when I lived my mom grew up, and we go back to New York. One place that she used to always go to is this place called Stickies and Spicy's, and they used to make, and they did fish and they did chicken wings, and your sauce is kind of like very similar to that one. And I'm just like, man, this could go on anything. I could dip. Oh, man.
It's an East Coast flavor.
Man, you definitely know that. Definitely know that. Look, I've tried some of everything. And normally I stick to one thing when I tie in with a restaurant. What is your process of developing new menu items?
So I do a lot of research as far as looking at how people plate their food, how people, like, what the process they do with making their food, and why they chose that certain protein as opposed to different proteins. So what I do, I see things that, like, anything can be smoked, in my opinion. Like I even done smoked sweet potato pie. And that came out really, really good. But the thing is, it was hard for me to get the crust for that. So I had to discontinue that. But if I do get the crust back, I will be doing those again because those were a big hit. They sold a lot. But just I like challenging myself. Like if someone says, okay, they have burger night. Okay, well, so I want to have a burger night too. Okay, so let me see what kind of burger I'm going to do. Well, I'm going to do a Wagyu burger with some pastrami on it, sauteed onions, sauteed mushrooms, Swiss cheese. Throw a couple of sliced avocado on there with some bacon, and then throw some sauce on there, and serve that. And then, and me, if it doesn't make me go wild, I will not put it out. If I taste it and it tastes mediocre, it's not going out. I got to have mine speak volumes a little bit so before I have it released.
No doubt. When you're thinking about the menu, I just want you to keep me in mind when it comes to needing somebody that needs to sample stuff, just to make sure you're putting out amazing stuff. I'll be that guy for you.
Most definitely.
Note taking. And who else? Feel free to say your name. What do you feel makes your barbecue stand out from other barbecue locations?
Faith. And the reason why I say that is because I go into anything that I do and anything that I make, I go into it with faith. Because I think if God's not a part of everything that you do, it's not going to be successful. So I make sure he's a part of everything I do. When it comes down to making the rubs, when it comes down to coming up with new ideas, when it comes to the menu and everything, I just pray about it and just, let him guide me. And so far, he hasn't let me down. I've been doing pretty decent so far.
I like the fact that you don't look at things as a competition and you live in this space of like, I'm not worried about what others are doing as long as I'm still being able to create the way that I want to, and the people are coming and talking about the nature of my business. That's what keeps me pushing. I could see a lot of people getting derailed or frustrated when they know that there's another business that's opening up that may have a similar model as theirs that may be a little bit frustrating based off of that, or closer in proximity as far as demographics goes, that might cause a little bit of frustration. But I don't see you getting rocked in the least bit when it comes to that.
I'm glad you said that because I got approached like 2 weeks ago with a new couple when I was walking out of a chef store. And they approached me and they were like, "Oh, you do barbecue?" I'm like, "Yes, I do." And they go, "We do barbecue too." And I said, "Oh, that's nice." I said, keep in mind, there's enough barbecue here for everybody. Everyone has their own different palates. Everyone likes certain ways, different barbecue. You're in a good industry. And plus, besides, you're just taking back what was originally ours anyways.
Note taking. Note taking, people.
So I encourage anyone to do barbecue. Because I know for a fact when it comes to what I do, it can be replicated, but it won't ever be duplicated. And the reason why, because if you don't put love, or you don't have a certain love or a passion in what you do, it's going to show up in your food.
It will.
Me, I get into a zone. I just love what I do, and I just make sure that everything has to be like pretty much on point. Because think of it like this. I jumped to this with a leap of faith as far as it being something that was going to take care of my family and myself. So everything that I do is going to it won't reflect on my employee, it's going to reflect on the owner of the company, which is my wife and I.
Right.
So we're sticklers as far as doing everything that we're supposed to do. Like when we get our health department, when they come in every 6 months, we get nothing but A's. Because we believe in cleaning up after you. Clean up while you're cooking. We've always, I was raised doing that. My wife was raised doing that. Mm-hmm. And we just, it's real simple. Just keep it clean.
Does it make you apprehensive in regards to the people that you bring on board, as far as like other people to help you cook? Or?
When it comes to people to help me cook, I'd rather have them help me prep.
Okay.
Because I don't think they're going to be able to cook the way that I do it.
Okay.
They don't, because in my opinion, it looks like really easy, like putting it in the smoker and keeping the temperature right. But it's not as easy as it looks. You have to be able to know the weight of the meat. You got to get the right time, like the timing down as far as when you need to cook it.
It's a science.
It is a science. And not too many people right now are willing to do that at this point. Pretty much take the time and really pay attention on like the heat and how to make the heat go higher or lower. There's levels to doing this. And at this point where I'm at, I feel good doing it on my own. So I have prep people who prep food for me.
No doubt. Tell me your most popular meat and what's your favorite, what's your personal favorite?
So our number one seller is our brisket.
Okay. Love that, by the way.
And thank you. And then after that, it's a toss up. I mean, we get a lot of people who love our ribs. Our tri-tip sells really well. Our pulled pork sells good. Our wings, I mean, we got voted second best wings in Arizona, and we didn't even know we was in the contest. My wife and I, we just found out from people calling us and letting us know that we were entered into a contest, and they had on Yelp, and they had a lot of people vote saying who has the best wings in Arizona. We came up second. First place was Valley Wings, but that's all they do. And so that's up to them. Yeah, right? That's up to them. And wings were like, that's not even our main thing. I'd put wings on the menu because I like smoked wings. So, and plus with the flavors that I have with it, it complements it like perfectly. So,
full transparency. Yeah. First time I had your wings was Super Bowl Sunday.
Okay.
I went over to Marcus's shop. Okay. Shout out to Marcus Anthony. It's my barber. But went over to Marcus's shop and he ordered like 3 different sets of different kinds of wings. There was like 60 wings there for us to pick from. I was just like, oh, okay. Man of my choice. Because I'm a wing connoisseur. And those were fire. Those were amazing wings. So he's like, these are smoked wings. I was like, whoo-wee. Sat there, watched the game. Yeah. Good. Great though. Definitely great wings. And now we've reached the point of our show that is called
And If You Don't Know, Now You 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 Know.
As I stated, this is the part of the show where I had the opportunity to speak with people that know you well, and they provided me some questions that they'd like to know about you. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
All right, good. First question comes from Maurice. He works behind the cashier. So Maurice would like to know, if you could cook barbecue for any celebrity, who would it be and why?
Obama.
Obama? Okay, and why?
Because he's my favorite president. I mean, it was when he got elected that I knew for a fact that I can do things on my own. I knew that if he can be a president, there's nothing that I can't do. I'm just holding myself back. I love what he stood for. I love that he proved that, anything is possible. And it'd be like a thank you meal given to him to say thank you for the inspiration that you gave me, even though I never met you, but I see you on TV and I really appreciate what you've done and what you still do. And coming from him, he poured out his heart and soul when it came to facing the nation and taking care of the United States when he did. Mm-hmm. And that'd be my way of saying thank you and pouring my heart out as far as my food to say thank you. And I appreciate the things that he's done.
You know what you'd make for him?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I make him a little bit of everything. I'd give him some, definitely got to have a brisket.
Okay.
Got to have some wings. I make one of the Wagyu burgers for him. Okay. Got to do that for him and the family. Got to have my wife's potato salad, barbecue beans. I mean, I just give him a spread of everything. Nice. So, he can feed him and the family. Whoever he wants to come home, we got it.
Okay. And as I stated earlier, this question comes from Marcus. Marcus Anthony, that's my barber. Like I said, we had your wings on Super Bowl Sunday, and those were fire. Marcus wanted to know, what's the most underrated item on your menu? You feel?
The most underrated item. I would say that's tough. Green chili corn.
Green chili corn?
Yeah, and the reason why I say that is because a lot of people, they always ask questions about, so what's in the green chili corn? Is it spicy? Is it this, and that? And then they taste it and like, oh, wow, this is amazing. I would say that would be the one. And the reason, I mean, that definitely be the one because all our other stuff, we get it ordered all the time. We don't really get questions about it. They just order it in order. But the one we'll get questions about is the green chili corn because how my wife makes it. I would let you know, but then I would have to, Just put like this. Just put like this. There's a lot of love. Put it in there.
We'll leave it at that. And we'll definitely leave it at that. And this question comes from your wife, Jackie. If your barbecue had a theme song, what would it be?
Ooh, theme song, what would it be? There's a song called "I'm Not Going Anywhere."
Okay.
From Emotional Orange.
Okay.
If you ever get a chance to that, if you ever get a chance, listen to that song. It's called "I'm Not Going Nowhere."
Okay. Hey, editing, cue that up. No, that's great. So that was from your wife. This one is, what is a little known fact about your business that would surprise people?
I don't know if it would surprise them or not, but I've never went to culinary school. But I could cook anything, I would probably say.
So self-taught, figured it out, and just kept it pushing through that process.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. Now let's talk about technique. You had mentioned earlier you had saved up, spent a year, circled back, ended up buying a smoker. What type of smoker did you end up purchasing, and why?
So
was it that one?
Starting off, I had a lot of smokers. I had like a smoker cemetery in the backyard.
Smoker cemetery.
Because I would get smokers, use them up and get the next best thing. So, and I worked a lot with smokers that had the offset heat, where you have the smoker box on the side and it comes up and through the whole smoker.
Okay.
And I've worked with those before, and those are good, but a lot of people, they say, it takes me 12 hours, 15 hours to do a brisket or a pork shoulder, which is true with those smokers. I found that the rotisserie ones work a lot better and more sophisticated for what I do, and it's faster. So people who say they'll do a brisket, it takes them 14 hours, it takes me 5.5 hours. People say their ribs take about 4 to 5 hours, it takes me 3.
Okay.
And they still fall off the bone. Pork shoulders take me 7 hours.
And it normally take?
Even 17, 14, 15 hours, they say.
Okay.
I knock it out half. And the reason why with the rotisserie, the smoker box is in the back, not off to the side. So the whole barrel is getting the heat. Okay. And then the heat rises. So if I have it at 250 here, there's going to be 275, 300 up here. Mm-hmm. Back down to 250, back down to 225 down here. So it's getting offset heat all the way around. So it makes it cook fast. And I just love the technique.
Okay. Now, let's see here. How did you decide what wood you would use as far as like smoking goes?
Oh, mesquite.
Mesquite?
I knew I was going to use mesquite from day one because I've used it before. And that's like, you can get it anywhere. And it's, has a good flavor to it. And to me, I'm a type of person that, like, if it's not broke, I'm not trying to fix it. So, it serves its purpose, and I love it.
What was it about mesquite, though?
Just the smell of it, the flavor, and then they have a Argentine mesquite too that has a sweeter smell to it. So it gives like a little sweeter taste of the meat. So with the guy that delivers my wood, he gives me a mixture of two. So I put them two together. It gives just the right amount of smoke and flavor in the meat that I'm looking for. That goes well with the season that I put on there.
So it took some time to perfect that
Most
process as far as that goes.
I can cook with other wood, but it's going to make the meat taste a little different because, like, when people do the cherry wood and the apple wood and all, like oak and stuff like that, to me, I'm not looking to have my meat be this flavor this week. Okay, next week's going to be, we're doing, apple,
wood.
Apple wood and then cherry wood. I'm just going to be getting mesquite, and everyone loves that.
And it's based on the seasonings that you add to
Almost
it instead of
yeah.
just trying to
It
sell it on
complements
it.
it, yeah.
Okay, nice. What's one thing people don't realize about running a barbecue restaurant?
It's a lot of work. I mean, they don't. A lot of people think they you just go in there, just like
Smoke some meat,
and just sell it, right?
Right.
But it's the technique. It's how much season you got to put on there, and then plus everything costs. See, a lot of people they don't understand that everything costs. So you got to weigh out. Everything's got to be weighed out. Everything's got to be priced to the T if you're going to make it. The two things that can kill you with running a business is your labor costs and your food costs with the restaurant. You keep those two things down, you keep your profits up, then you'll be fine. And I try my best to do that. If it's a Friday, Saturday night, you have like 4 workers there and it's not that busy, you got to send 2 of them home.
Right.
You can't like, well, you know what, I gotta, let's keep them here just in case. There's no just in case. You got to make moves. The decisions that you have to make as being an owner, it gets more. Basically, they say it gets more serious when it comes to when you own your own business because the bills
every
are not
dollar
stop
counts.
Every little bit, every dollar does count. And the one thing that you do got to understand is that when you open a business, everyone wants a piece.
Yeah.
Like liquor license, okay, you got to pay for that. Oh, you're selling the liquor in Tempe. Oh, well, yeah, you got to pay for that. Oh, we need the health department to come out and check you guys every 6 months or so on. Oh, you got to pay for that too. It's every little thing. It's like they got their hands in everything, which is, I mean, that's what they do. And then plus the taxes on everything.
Right.
So you got to be real careful. You got to be real like planful and you got to work on a budget. My wife, she's really good at working on a budget. So she lets me know, not in the budget, in the budget. That's all. Right. Can I get this? Not in the budget. Okay, maybe next time.
You know what that means.
You know what that means? Yeah, not in the budget.
No, I get that. Speaking of every dollar counts, how did you go about getting funding for word of mouth when it first began? Was it just through the catering process or?
Well, so doing the catering process was part of it, but then my 401k. I was working, at the time I was working at Ditech. It was 11 years. So I put 11 years in there. I had 11 years of 401k added up in there. And I just cast that out and just opened up the restaurant. They say that the 401k is supposed to be for your retirement. Guess what? My restaurants are my retirements.
Understood. I definitely understand that. Aside from word of mouth or social media, are there any specific festivals or events that you attend to help give more visibility? I know you say strictly word of mouth, but like, are there any other things that you attend to kind of help, show your business brand?
Well, I haven't been able to do that since I've opened the restaurant. We've done a couple of events, but not too many.
Okay.
And the reason why, because we don't have a staff. And me being the only cook, I got to make sure stuff is there for people who's going to be traveling. We have people who travel from like different, states and stuff to come and try our food, who follow us on Instagram that we just barely met when we opened up.
I just not to cut you off, but to cut you off. Yeah. When I came in on Friday, that family that was sitting there, we're just about to go back to Thailand.
Yeah.
So I know people, this is a fact. It was a family of 3. I was questioning what I wanted to try this time. And I was talking with the gentleman, Maurice, at the counter, and they overheard me questioning like what I should get. And then they start being suggestive about like different things that I should try. And then I heard the gentleman say, hey, we got to hurry up and go because we're heading back to Thailand. Wow.
Yeah, we have people who follow us. That's amazing to see how social media can attract people just by posting your truth, your story and what you do.
Yeah.
And what I do is I'll post this food. I have a picture of me at the smoker. To me, I get up every day and I just do my job, which is, making food. And I just think of it as an extension of my home. All I'm doing is inviting people to my house to have a good meal. So
right.
That's how I look at it.
And speaking of, they had plates of everything. When he said, yeah, you should try some of everything, this gentleman literally meant that. Because I'm looking at his plate, I'm looking at their table. I'm just like, you probably did try just about everything over there. I ended up getting sausage and macaroni. I wanted to definitely try the hot links there and see what those were about. And Definitely.
It tastes good with the Carolina Gold.
You already, and that's what I did it with. And that's definitely what I did it with. I see you're in the process of expanding.
Mm-hmm.
Can you share more about that and what inspired you in regards to making the next step and what challenges or opportunities come with that?
Okay, so when we first opened up the first one, I always knew I was gonna. I'm always thinking ahead. I'm always thinking, okay, all right, we got the first one going. Let's make sure this goes good because we need another one.
Right.
Okay. Then we took a trip to Costa Rica in November, Thanksgiving. We were there for like 9 days. Costa Rica, I loved it, fell in love. For the health reasons alone, I want to move out there. I have sciatic nerve pain, so walking around is kind of tough for me walking long distance. Mm-hmm. When I was in Costa Rica, I could walk for forever. Wow. And the reason why is because the oxygen level with all the trees that are out there, there's not too many pollution out there at all. Just the trees and the oxygen out there just made everything in my body just feel a lot better. And then the food is not like has no preservatives and no additives and nothing like that in it. It was fresh. I mean, I can say I had the best fried chicken ever in Costa Rica, in a small little shack, because it tastes so fresh. It was nice.
Wow. Perfectly
crispy. Everything. The flavor was good. I do some hot sauce on it. You know how you do it.
Yep.
A slice of bread is for bread.
Right.
But
you try any barbecue out there?
Well, they didn't really have any barbecue. Well, they had one guy that was out there, but I didn't really trust his technique. Well, because he didn't have no warming cabinet. He just had coming out the smoke and put on the counter with another tray on top of it.
He said, red flags.
Yeah, I wasn't thinking. He was an American guy too. I was like, well, okay. Maybe I need to come out here and just
set up shop.
Yeah.
Maybe set up like a food truck out there or something after you retire. Yeah.
After we left, my main focus was, okay, we want to, because we were there after the third day, we was already meeting with realtors looking at property, looking at condos. Because that's how serious we were.
Wow.
I met two guys out there one guy named Chris, he owns a bar called Locals, another guy named Kevin, he owns the pizza shop. Both of them American. One was out there for like 25 years, been out there. And the other one's been out there for 22. The dude from the pizza shop, he went to ASU. His name's Kevin.
Nice.
Every year he hosts a barbecue competition in Costa Rica. And he wanted me to join that. And I told him, I said, you know what, I'll make you a deal. If I ever come out here and I open up a business out here, then I will enter that contest to represent Costa Rica. Mm-hmm. But both of them want to go into business with me because I told them my plan is I want to get a condo out there. And they told me, if you buy a condo out there and you're not there between the months of December and March, it'll pay for the whole year. So yeah, that's perfect for me because that's our busiest time here in the United States, around Christmas and all the way through March with spring break and everything. So that's going to work out. So when we came back, first thing in my mind was like, okay, we need to start getting this other restaurant going. It's already been 5 years. We want to make our moves every 5 years or whatever. So the first thing on my mind was like, we need to like open up a second restaurant. And I was thinking about taking out another loan. My wife's like, no, you don't want to take out another loan. So I said, you know what? I'll just sell my car. I had a 2022 AMG Mercedes GT43. Mm-hmm. Bought it brand new. I loved it. It was cool, but depreciating asset. And so what I thought, well, you know what? If I sell this car, I can open up another restaurant and I can just buy something else. So that's exactly what I did. I sold the car, took the residuals from that, opened up this restaurant that's going to be open. The grand open is going to be tomorrow. We had a soft opening this past Friday and Saturday, which did pretty decent. And the grand open is going to be tomorrow. And I'm excited about that. And I ended up buying another Jeep, which I'm having more fun in the Jeep than I did in the Mercedes.
Nice. So, let the people know where the second location is going to be at.
Well, it's going to be on 48th and Ray.
Okay.
That's supposedly that's the busiest corner the busiest intersection in Albuquerque. So we get a lot of traffic. There's going to be a lot of traffic coming through there. So if you're in the area, come on, check us out, and we'll be more than happy to serve you.
Amazing, amazing, amazing food, people. I'm not just saying that. I promise you will not be disappointed going there. Speaking of opening up other locations, one thing I was just thinking about was at what point are you going to reach a point of being like, I can trust someone else being a pit master? Because it feels to me, and correct me if I'm wrong, you may be spreading yourself a little bit thin, but wanting to open up more businesses. Great idea, but also having to find
space of trusting someone else to be the next version of you?
Good question. Good question. So what my plan is, okay, so I did 2 barbecue restaurants here in Arizona, United States, period. That's it. The next one's going to be an Argentine restaurant. Okay. I'm going to hire a chef to do the Argentine food. Cooking. I'm going to probably see if I can get either I'll have me teach people to do it, the Argentine, because that's doing open flame on the grill is easier than working with the smoker.
Okay.
So if I can teach them to do that, then that's fine. But when it comes to doing the smoking part, if I can find someone who I can really, really trust, I'm going to pay them well, of course, and let them take over the reins doing it that way. Until then, I'll be doing it myself. But there is going to become a time where I am going to release the reins and then have someone else cook for me.
That's a lot of pressure, man.
It is.
You're not allowed to get slit. You're not allowed to get sick.
No.
You're not, no oversleeping. No.
Can't do it. But then again, I'm always going to be the backup, though, because, 9 times out of 10, trust me, I'm going to get up and do it myself. But if they can just prep it for me, I can throw it all on the grill. It's like, what am I going to do? I'm 56 years old. I still feel good, look good.
Yeah.
I'm trying to make it happen still. People tell me I need to slow down. No, I need to speed up. I don't have that much time left now. So
I definitely
I'm trying to leave a legacy. I'm trying to leave something that I can be proud of, to leave for my son and my grandchildren and so forth and so on. I want to make sure that they're taken care of when I leave. So
nice. What's one thing you wish you would have knew before you started your business?
I would say if anything, I would want to know like how many people are really getting a piece before you need to, like, the first time, like, not for the second one I already know. So I like the first one, it just hit me left to right because they don't tell you, okay, you got to pay this, you got to pay that, you got to pay. They don't let you know all that before you open the business.
You want to know all the answers?
Yeah, I need to know all that so I can budget for it. You know what I mean? So it ended up turning out good, but if I would have, I want to be ahead of the game. I don't want to be playing catch up. So
my sister, I remember my sister's first job when we were growing up. And she got her first paycheck. She brought it home. She asked my mom. She said, "Mom, who is FICA? And why is FICA taking money out of my check?"
You know what I mean? Dude, Social Security, FICA.
She was so upset about that, man.
I need those. I need all that.
That'll always live in my head just because of how she was so frustrated, feeling like somebody just stole something from her.
All that hard work.
Right. What's your advice to someone looking to start their own barbecue spot?
Don't be afraid to be successful. And it's going to take sacrifice. Just be willing to know you're going to be sacrificing a lot of time to get what you want. But then, when it's all said and done, it'll be worth it because it's something that you grew yourself and that you know that what you put into it, you're going to get out of it.
Right.
So as much as you put into it, you'll get exactly that return. So you put a lot of love into it, you get a lot of love back. And then, just don't be afraid to fail. There's been times it's been tight with me, and I was thinking, like, how are we going to pay rent? Next thing you know, God comes through every time.
You have to bet on yourself, too, through the process, and that's something that you spoke to earlier in this conversation.
You have to bet on yourself. If you have a feeling that you can do something, that feeling is someone speaking to you, and that's God speaking to you, let you know that he sees you can do it. I'm giving you an opportunity to do it. What you going to do? Let's do it. I remember when I was, the last year that I was at Ditech, I remember when they were doing layoffs, I would always make the cut. Because what I ended up doing, I ended up creating a position for myself to where I became untouchable. I was always thinking to myself, okay, well, if I knew this and I knew this, they're going to get rid of this guy because he only knows this.
Right.
So I ended up the first thing I did was I talked to my manager and I noticed that he was distributing all the accounts that we would get in the morning, and he had a lot of other stuff to do too. And I was like, so what do you do in the morning? He goes, I distribute these, and I got to do this, and I got to get this done before this time. And I said, you know what? Let me take this off your hand. Show me how to do this, and I'll distribute it for you. I can still do my work. Don't worry about it. And sure enough, I got that job. So every morning I would come in, he would send me the accounts to distribute out to our crew. I distributed them out. Then the next thing I figured out how to do was like, so when we do it like a deed in lieu or a foreclosure or a modification for a loan, we have to do the paperwork. If anything's wrong with the paperwork, they send it back, and we have to figure out what's wrong with it. So what we would do, we send it to our manager. Our manager send it to another person to have them come in to take 3 days, for us to get an answer, the account back. So
He was doing it all.
So I went to the guy who was doing that, and I told him, I said, so what do you do when you look? What are you looking for, as far as the mistakes, stuff like that? He goes, yeah, I gotta just look here and do this. And I said, well, I can do that too. Let me take this off your plate. So then I had 3 jobs that I was doing, to where when it came down to doing the layoffs, I would always make the cut.
Yeah, you
they were like,
value in yourself.
They were like, don't get rid of him. He does this and this, right. And we need that. And but then after, it's funny too, after each one, I would hear a voice in my head saying, I don't want you here. Okay. So the first one, I was like, okay, I understand that. But then when it happened the second time, I'm like, oh, okay, I see what you're saying. And and then that week we found the building for our first restaurant.
Oh, wow.
So then it made sense. I'm like, okay, he wants me on my own right now. Okay. So I would let them know, that I was opening up the restaurant week. Once we got the contract done and everything like that and lease signed, I let my company know, and they were like, cool, just, do us a favor and to teach someone else how to do what you do. So when it came time for me they let me stay as long as until we opened up, which was perfect.
Right.
And they allowed me, so on my breaks, whenever I needed to meet a contractor, yeah, go ahead and do that. Just go ahead and do what you have to do. Just make sure you train these, because they were sending all this stuff overseas and stuff like that too. And they were having me train these guys from another country. I forgot where it's from, but I was teaching them how to do it, and the time zone was kind of different. So I would have to get there a little bit early, which was not that big of a deal. But
right.
I showed them what I did. So now it was kind of like it was a good thing for me to know what I did.
You created such job security. It was like,
oh yeah.
You put a blanket on yourself. Like, hey, look, I'm gonna leave. Yeah. And you're gonna let me leave when I need to leave.
Yeah, exactly. Which is kind of cool.
No, that's amazing. That's definitely amazing. Is there anything else you want to leave the people with before we get up out of here?
Just believe in yourself. If you have a dream or aspiration, just write it and just speak it into existence and view it, and don't ever stop, and don't be afraid to be successful, and take that leap of faith.
You heard that, people? Do not be afraid to take that leap of faith. If you're looking for some amazing barbecue, make sure you stop by Word of Mouth Barbecue. Word of Mouth Grill Barbecue. 2 locations. You can look them up online. If you don't know, I'm sure you have a friend that does. Hence word of mouth. Demetrious, I thank you for your time, man.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Most definitely. Hey, next episode.